Hello everyone, my name is Great Creator Studios, and welcome back to the channel. Well everyone, it's finally happened. I finally got a request for an animation how-to, so that's what you're getting for today's upload. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you the basics of how I make my Minecraft music videos, and basic properties of animation in Blender 5.0. I'm going to walk you through how I do things starting with this blank Blender save. Here, I have Blender 5.0.1 fired up and ready to go. So, here is how I organize everything before I even get started with animation. So, I move this up, start at 0 so the numbers make more sense. So, this is going to be your range. We're going to increase this, but we'll do that later. And then this is what frame your slider is currently on. So, this is the timeline. I don't like to use the timeline for animating. So, what I do is I bring up another one, and then I change the timeline to dope sheet. And then I click on this to bring it out, drop this down. This dope sheet will give me access to all the keyframes in a rig, like it's just better for animating and things. Now, the other thing to consider is during the setup process, you want to hit playback, you want to hit scrubbing. This audio scrubbing will, as we add audio, if you move this thing back and forth, you'll be able to hear the audio, like it'll just make the noises, so that way you know precisely where to edit your audio should you need to do so. And then just for simplicity's sake, we don't need to touch this yet. I'll get back to it later if we need to touch it. So the next thing you want to do, hit this button. This turns on auto keying. We'll use this cube as an example. So I'll turn on my transform default cube in Blender. Here, I press I, that makes a keyframe. I go all the way over here, move it here. The computer will fill in the gap between frame 0 and frame 96. I can move back and forth by pressing the up and down arrows. You can configure your settings the way you like them, so that way, like the keys you want do certain things. So if I hit the spacebar, the cube will slide along to frame 96, and it will slide in a preset path to frame 96. And every Blender file will give you the same things to start with: a cube, a light, and a camera. You can delete the cube and light, we won't be needing them. I do my lighting last. Okay, so we have our auto keying on, we have our audio scrubbing playback, and now what we want to do is, I should have mentioned this at the sooner, don't set this up until you have an idea. What you need is a good, strong idea for a good music video or any sort of animation. So start with an idea. So today we're going to be setting up my next Minecraft music video. Will this idea go anywhere? Will it get past frame 60? Who knows? Honestly, with all the music videos I start, there's a 1 in 10 chance they end up on my YouTube channel. And that's just because of the will to finish them. That's just how it is. We're doing this for fun. So, a couple menu options to note before I continue that I might be pressing rapidly, but not explaining. So, the T key by default, see that little bar on the left? T makes it appear and disappear. Gives you a ton of options, including the selection box. I mainly keep it on transform because that gives you the most options for the least amount of work. And then another thing, N. This is the N key by default. This will make your add-ons, these little tabs are my add-ons, they'll appear and disappear. So you're going to want a couple add-ons for this, for making your animation, and I'll go over those later. What you see in the upper left corner, unsaved. This thing is unnamed and it's got the little star. If it's got the little star up there, that means there is work that you haven't saved and you could lose it if your computer crashes. That's going to be a problem. So, the next most important thing is organization. I was a Mac user when I started animation, so I'm used to Command S saving work. Windows changed it to Control S. I didn't like that, so my save key is the Q key. I hit Q to save, but since I've never saved this file before, it's giving me a pop-up. It'll take you to the last project you saved. So I'm going to use this button to exit this directory. Don't mind this. So this is going to be a music video for my TV show, The Guys Who Save TV. I have already pre-organized this. I'm not going to tell you guys how to organize your stuff. Like, my files are built to what I need to use. But what you want to do is, I have a video for music. This is going to be a music video, so I go in the music video folder. and then I name my music video, and like they give you this handy folder button to create a new folder. So like these are all the ones I have saved on this computer for different songs. We're going to be making a new folder. We're going to rename this folder. We're going to be making a music video to Kelly Clarkson's Stronger. So we're going to rename it exactly the way the song is named. Oops, not what doesn't lill you, what doesn't kill you. You got to make sure you spell everything right, because if you don't and you save it and you have stuff saved in there and you can't change it. Like if you do change it, it'll mess everything up. I'll explain that later. So Stronger, what doesn't kill you. Boom. Okay. Now, once you have your project folder, I make 3 to 4 different folders depending on what I need for a project. So, first one, saves. Second one, scene. Third one, rendered clips. And then, if I have an audio file, like if it's an original audio file that I recorded in Audacity, I make an audio folder to keep all my audio information. So that way not everything is on my desktop. This is going to be a song that I downloaded off of Apple Music, so we won't be needing that. It'll just be in Apple Music. What do these do? Rendered clips. This is where your finished clips are going to go for your editing process. I'm going to show you how to save that to them later. Then, your scene. This is where I put all of the world files that I'm going to be taking stuff out of Minecraft. This is where I put them. This is where the computer will draw them from. And then your saves. Okay, you go into this folder. This is where I keep the Blender information. So I'm going to name this What Doesn't Kill You. Stronger. What doesn't. I'm doing this at an angle here since my mic is weird. Kill you. Stronger. What doesn't kill you. And what I've started doing as of newer versions is, since I have so many versions of Blender on my desktop, Blender 5.0. This will help me keep track of which things I'm animating in which version, because if you accidentally downgrade your Blender file, you're going to have a world of problems. So I made this in version Blender 5.0, and then save Blender file. There. Now we have all this at the top. This is where my file directory goes. No star means that it's all saved and up to date. So if I crash now, I won't lose anything. But move this around a bit, change things, boom, you got the star. Press Q to get rid of it. And boom. Save always, save often. I cannot stress this enough. Do not go for like 15 minutes without saving. Get into the habit of saving after you complete like a specific task or action and you're satisfied with the results. Like just make it reflex. Make it so that you don't even realize you're doing it. Saving is, and this goes for like anything. This is just general advice. Writing a document and it doesn't autosave, save it, Command S, or whatever your save key is. Save always, save often. The next thing I need to do is we're going to have a few more windows open. So I make another one. That's the viewport we're looking at. I go into the camera mode. I hide this bar using T. So that way, this viewport will always be searching through the camera's eyes, so I can look at actions that I just need to play back, and in case this view will be for an up-close and personal look. So, then I open up another tab. We're going to stretch these out depending on my needs later. And we're making a music video. That means lip syncing. So I go into Asset Browser. And then I hit T to collapse this side panel. And then I stretch a few of these. So what you're looking at here is my pose library. When I got the new Black Plasma Studios rig, one of the first things I did was make a pose library with all the facial expressions I would need. And you can see them here. I made a smiling pose for all the key letters, I made a frowning pose, and I made a neutral pose. And when you put these all together, this won't be a lip syncing tutorial, but like when you put these all together on top of your audio, it'll make the characters talk. Before I was doing this all by hand, now I don't have to. This makes my life so much easier. I would recommend when you start out just doing it by hand, just so you know how the rig works. But once you get it down, make a pose library. There's plenty of tutorials on how to do that. Trust me, this will make your life easier. And I know what you're thinking, that there's so many poses here, like you want to keep them all in one spot. Here's my technique. So we're going to do some neutral ones to start out. So N-E-U-T, yep. There we go. These are all the neutral ones. This one I just added in here with an old rig by mistake. But like, it doesn't matter. because now they're all in some very visible spots. Next thing we need to do, audio. We need stronger right in here. We're going to open up this section. We're going to click here. We're going to go to Video Sequencer. Press T to get rid of this sidebar. Now, they changed this. Normally, in previous versions, I could drag and drop and be ready to go. That's not the case anymore. And I'll be honest with you, not fully sure how to work this upgrade. Because it's cool in practice. Like, this could be really helpful for doing an animation with multiple scenes and multiple audio tracks. Here, in the real world, I don't know how to use this yet. So, this advice, warning, audio advice I could give you could be completely wrong. But, what I do, and this took me a while to figure out how to get to what I needed, you have to hit this new button. That takes you to a brand new scene inside your save. But, your camera and all your stuff will be gone. Or all the things you have placed in this world will be gone. What do we do here? Like you can see, it's 1 to 250. Like everything's been set to a new default. So you go up here. You go back. This is like what it created is scene.001. Go to scene 1. Boom, your stuff is back. But this isn't your audio track. So go over here. Go back to scene instead of scene.001. You can name them depending on your need. I don't fully understand how to use this, but look at this. Your line, your viewer is in sync now. If someone could make it like this is a fairly new feature. I haven't seen many tutorials on how to use this. So if someone could make a tutorial on how to properly use this feature to its fullest potential, I would appreciate it greatly. But we're gonna stick to, like, most of my music videos revolve around one set, 1 to 2 to 3 sets, and I always keep them here in the same file. So now what we're gonna do, stronger, then I copy that in here. Boom. Okay, drag this to track 2 so I have some elbow room. And now this is a bit finicky since it's such a small window, but we're going to size this to big enough so that we can work with it. And we're going to play a little. Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing because I'm not getting copyrighted, but if I drag this along, that's the scrubbing taking effect. What we're going to do for now is we're going to scroll all the way out. It's a pretty long song. Yeah, and we're going to put it around here. This won't be an exact endpoint, but as you can see here, 4918. We're going to put our end frame here. I used to do this at 1,000 frames at a time, just as like a visual marker, but I decided this worked better. So we're going to zoom all the way out, and boom. So now you have a good progress bar for your music video, or whatever audio thing you want to lay out. Just be prepared to keep in mind you might need to scroll in to like adjust your wavelength or certain volumes or whatever you need to adjust. Just be prepared to scroll in. Now, we have a bit of a problem here. If I lower this, I am left with basically a space big enough to animate that's smaller than an iPad. This is a problem. I can't avoid it. I have a decent sized monitor, but from my perspective, this is like iPad size worth of animation space that we can actually work with. And there's nothing I can do to fix it until I like upgrade once I get out of college. So, is what it is. Keep in mind, like, I have a pretty hefty PC. You don't need like the fanciest equipment when you're just starting out. I started with what I could scrounge together for free off the internet, and I still do that with like Genshin Impact stuff. I refuse to pay for Genshin Impact models or the toon shaders. I loot what I can off the internet and off of Reddit threads and off of forums. Oh, speaking of Reddit threads, here's a helpful tip. If you're ever animating or starting to animate, get a VPN. Because you will be perusing Reddit threads and strange download links to get the rigs you want. Get a VPN. Not McAfee. You can't trust McAfee. I personally have Bitdefender on this computer, but you might want a VPN if you're going to be downloading. And if you don't feel comfortable, like, getting all this stuff, that's fine. I'm going to show you where I get my sets in a second. For Minecraft, we're going to boot up Minecraft, or in my case, we're already here. So right now, we are in the scene I wanted to make a music video out of, like heroes and villains, or antagonists I should say, are fighting in a park, like a park at the center of town, but I've already done a lot of park scenes and I'm bored of that, so I want to mix it up a little. So I want to I want this to be like this construction pit. Works pretty nice for what I want to go for. I didn't build this. We are in a city called Greenfield. So Greenfield, if you want to build a city scene, or if you want to work with an animation in a city scene, Greenfield's the only map you're going to need. Trust me. Like, this is a fully functional city. Interiors, like, look at all the maps I have. This place is huge. You can get it off their website. It's completely free, and they're still, like, building it. Like, look at all this. Look at all these maps. If you're nervous about like getting things off of Planet Minecraft, or like if you want a more fantasy build, like go to hermitcraft.com. Hermitcraft is an ongoing Minecraft SMP series, and after every season they release a world download that's always available for you to find on their website. I've gotten so many builds and music videos from Hermitcraft and Greenfield. Like, those are my two main sources. I will need to occasionally download the odd thing off of Planet Minecraft, but I have a VPN, so it works. Now, I'm going to teach you how to download, like, this section of the world and put it into Blender, but I do want to show you something. You'll notice that I updated Greenfield to version 1.21.11. This is a big problem. Or not necessarily a big problem, but it was a mistake. Because one thing you need to keep an eye out for is if your world downloading tools are not up to date with new Minecraft versions, and ever since the drop system was instituted, they've been updating the game faster. If your world downloading tools isn't up to date, and you accidentally update to a world where you have the new fancier blocks, that's going to be a problem. I use Mineways, so the last version of Mineways is only on 1.21.8, not 11. So, like, all the newer blocks, like the resin blocks, or like... Actually, I can only think of the resin blocks that have been added recently, but like the newer stuff, it won't recognize. And there's also a glitch where it won't recognize iron chains. And that is probably because they changed the name from chains to iron chains. I'm just guessing here. Because of the new copper chains that have been added. So just keep an eye and like be hesitant with updating your world until you're sure your world downloading tool has been updated. Enough blabbering, I'm going to show you how to do it. So, open a file. I'm currently in my Mineways folder, which I keep on my desktop. You can download Mineways for free off the internet. What you want to do, you want to click on this. And that's just a warning saying there's more than 50 files detected, and that they won't be all available on the default world list. So I'm going to OK that. Mineways comes up as a blank thing. You hit File, Open World, and here is all of your worlds in your Minecraft saves folder. It'll read these automatically. What you want to do is head to Greenfield, and then that's my warning, Iron Chain, and then Expose Lightning Rod. Like, that's another new block they added because you can they can, like, copper rods are allowed to age now, or lightning rods are allowed to age now. So there's nothing I can do about that. I hit OK, and it's just telling me that all of the blocks it doesn't recognize, which are those two, have been turned into bedrock. Which honestly is better than JMC2.obj, which is my previous exporter, which would give me the pink texture of death, which is just a way of Blender saying, hey, I don't know where this texture is in the file path. So, Greenfield is a very big city, and you could scroll randomly through all these loaded chunks to see where you are, but it's pretty big. So what you want to do is View, Jump to Player, and there's my construction pit. I want to right-click, drag this pink square along here. Now, there's some stuff now that this is the height. You always want to keep the height at maximum, or unless you're making a cave scene, but like if you're doing outside, your height should be fine where it is by default. Depth, that's another story. So that's how much of the bottom of the world it's going to cut out. It's currently at 62, but as you can see by that pink mesh, that's going to cut off some of it. So I'm going to go back into Minecraft for a bit. I'm going to head over to the lowest point I can find in the build. Land here, hit F3. I am at 63 blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot this down a little bit. You want to give it like a couple blocks of elbow room just so it's not completely cut off. Alright, that looks good. That's a good construction pit. So I hit File, Export for rendering. Then you want to give it a name. Construction pit. Hit save. Now, this will change. Your settings will change depending on what you want. Like, there's a setting for export individual blocks. We don't want to do that. That's going to crash my computer. But, like, how you want to set it up, split by materials, that's just how it's going to be, like, depending on what you need for your render. I go by default. So I hit OK. Takes a minute. Alright. And that should be that. It's just giving me the details of that. So we can close this. Now we go to our desktop. I already have our folder loaded. So we go to Stronger, what doesn't kill you. We go into Scene, like I promised. Then right-click, New Folder. This is just in case we want to add something else to the scene. So you want to make individual folders for everything you add or export out of Mindways. So now I can minimize this, shrink this, and then close Apple Music. And then I grab the construction pit stuff, like this. It'll come with the OBJ file, the MTL, and the textures. Drag this into here. All right, it's in there. So now we go back into Blender. We go to File, Import, Wavefront.obj, and then we exit out of saves, go into Scene, go into Construction Pit, import Wavefront.obj. Give it a second to load. Oh wait, it has loaded. You're gonna be thinking, this is just a white mass. How can I work with this? We can go into materials. But this is like all these buttons will like give you a like increasing view of quality of view going this way. But if you take a look, the textures are blurry. This is bad. How do I fix this? And you'll notice this in some of my older videos. It looks ugly because, well, the textures are blurry and I never realized that until it was too late, or I didn't know how to fix them. Now, the way this is caused is like if you go in here, the material tab, you can see all of the textures that were used in the build, like every block. This is caused by, if you drop down here, like right now, bedrock or the dark oak planks are set to linear. All these textures are set to linear. You want them to be closest. Now, you could go through and change every single one of these, which is honestly what I used to do, but there's an easier way. You hit N, and you go into MC Prep. Now, this is an add-on, and I can link a better tutorial on how to use it, but there's a bunch of options here. What you want to do is make sure your world is selected, so like this isn't selected, this is selected. Orange highlight. You want to hit Prep Materials. These default options are good, so I hit OK. Boom. Look at that. You hide that, and all your textures look like they're ripped straight out of Minecraft. It looks ready, but I'm going to teach you a trick on how we save. Like the more you add, the bigger the scene and the more characters you have, the slower this is going to play back for you, and you want the best playback speed you can get. So I'll tell you what you do. You go in here, and it's already ready, but like you'll notice that over here it's still a solid white mass. So like by the act of hitting Prep Materials, I made this all nice, and I made this like you can see it as anything other than a white mass. But if we expand this, we go in here, we hit this drop down, like right now it's just by material, but you can hit texture, and boom, you can see dirt. You can hit any manner of things, object, attribute, like, but texture is mainly what I work in. That presents another problem, how it looks. You want to do your render settings right away so you don't forget. Because I have had that problem where I'm ready to go to bed, I hit a project for render, and then it starts coming out in pictures in the wrong format. So here's the render settings I use. Not Eevee, Cycles. It'll be slower, but it'll look prettier. 4096, that will make a project take 6 years. I change it to 182. Output. Here's the output folder. We have a nice little directory of recent things we worked on here, so we can go back. Construction Pit, we exit out of that. Rendered clips, back again. We accept this into our rendered clips folder, but it's going to come out as images right now. You probably want it to come out as images. Different people will render in different things, but I render in video so that way my audio can be intact. So we go into video, and then we need to keep scrolling down for, no, not this, nope. Encoding. MPEG-4. Audio codec, took some trial and error. The one that worked for me is AAC. And your render is ready to go just in case. And you can see what your render would look like by hitting this button. This is what you see is what you get with this button. If you render this, you're gonna get this. But there's no sky. So how do you fix that? I downloaded some environment textures from Black Plasma Studios back when they were still called Black Plasma Studios from a tutorial. The video's still up. You can probably get it from them too. But I also have another sky that I like to use that I found online, but I have a folder for them. Always have a folder for everything. You go into World, you hit Color, Environment Texture. This gives you now this will say, okay, there should be a texture here, but it's not there. I can't find it. You didn't give me any. Hence the pink. The color pink in Blender means it can't find the texture you want it to use. What you do is you hit open, and then it should be around here. BPS Environment Textures. I got it from them. So, and what's helpful about the newer versions in Blender is you can hover over an image and see which one you want to use. I like this one. So I'm going to hit Open Image, and look at that. You get a perfect sky up there. Now, it is pretty dark, but I do the lighting last. And in all honesty, probably not in this video, just because, like, if I'm selecting things, I don't want my cursor going over different light paths and messing everything up. So I do that last. Now, we go down here, and we have to set up our characters next. So, this is another add-on. Black Plasma Studios just released a brand new rig for Blender 5.0, and it's a thing of beauty. They have a better tutorial on how to use this than me, but what you want to do is you click on this, you click refresh, and this will give you the version of the rig they released so far. Import rig. Now, this no skin business is a little freaky, but I want a few characters in here. So, what you want to do is hit Control, move it over 2 slots, import rig. Control, I forgot an important step. Get rid of all of these. So you'll notice that camera and Greenfield, the set, are in the same default folder. What you want to do is make a new one, shrink this, because we won't need them for a bit, and instead of Collection 2, we're going to call this Characters. Now, as you're highlighted over this, add your characters. Now, this gives you a whole bunch of options, and I'm not really a fan of the file asset organization here, because it used to be that there was a special way to click on them to swap between rigs and pose mode. I'll show you in a bit. But you can still do something like that. So this scene will involve Vindicta and his robots battling Linda and Michael. So I want Vindicta, I want at least 2 robots. And then we're going to need our heroes, Linda and Michael, so that's 5 rigs minimum. And when you make a video like this, you gotta think about how many rigs am I gonna want in a single shot? Because that's the maximum amount of rigs you should have, the ones that are gonna be in one shot. I'll show you what I mean. I click on this rig. They show you how to apply skin in the video. They show you how to Squared Media will show you how to apply skin in their tutorial. I'm just going through this quickly. Skin selector. I go to where I keep my skins. And then, of course, you want to, do this right away. Don't forget your second layer visibility, because if you disable that in the render, that's going to look ugly. And then I want his drones. I got the characters set up the way I like them. All the eye colors are accurate, although, quick note, you can only see the eye colors in material or rendered preview. So just keep an eye out that the more you go to the right in terms of viewing, the more accurate it gets. So I would check your viewports every once in a while just to see. But for the sake of our frame rate, we're going to be doing this today. Now, maximum amount of fully functional rigs I can have in a scene. Now, in order to control them, you can't do anything in object mode. So, you click on the one you want to move, and you hit Control Tab. And for years, I used to be going up here, going to edit, accidentally hitting on edit mode, hitting object mode, going to this one, going to object mode, going to pose. No, Control Tab, Control Tab, Control Tab, Control Tab, Control Tab, Control Tab. That's all you need. Control Tab. This is so much faster, and you don't end up hitting edit mode by accident. It is truly the best key command you can use in Blender. People will remember that if you had a bunch of Black Plasma Studios rigs in previous versions of Blender, you used to be able to click on them while in pose mode in this sidebar. So can't do that anymore? No, you can't. Just requires a bit of setup. You want to hit the yellow folder, and there's your rig. Keep hitting the yellow folder. Scroll down if you need to. Yellow, yellow. And now, if you hit the highlighted little man, you can... Oh, look, I'm in this one now. Hit this one. I'm in Vindicta now. Hit this one. Boom, that's Linda right there. You'd be better off naming these. Don't worry, the naming won't affect the file path. It's only for this file, so... VindictaBot 1. Now that you have them all named, you're ready to go, right? Not so fast. So, I don't know what causes this, but all the rigs are currently available. And if you're copying and pasting keyframes or doing a bunch of other works that'll automatically show up, that's going to cause a bit of interference. So, this is the dope sheet. You want to go into this dope sheet and change it to Action Editor, and now only the rig you have selected will show up. Another piece of advice, select all the bones by hitting A before you start moving anything. Hit I. Now you have a default keyframe that you can copy and paste if you ever need it, and since the animation's starting right away, I'm going to hide these in frame -1. Hit I again, and boom, you're ready to move Linda to her starting position. Here's another spare piece of advice. Say you want to have like a shot in this music video of like 2 civilians looking at the fight that's happening and looking on with horror, but they're only going to appear in like 1 to 2 shots, and you don't really feel like slowing down your frame rate by making another 2 rigs pop up in here and have them do nothing most of the scene. What are you going to do? So, there is a way to swap between skins in Blender Minecraft. Very important, we go into this frame of view, because you can only see it in this view. And this is the effect I use to get Voltux's teleportation in for my more recent videos. We want to go into the tabs up here. Want to go into shading. Yes, we go down here. Say I want to make these 2 VindictaBot civilians when they're not on camera. You hit the little like circle here. But it's very important you also go into material, find the skin. There we go. There's the skin. Now, the shading, material shader. Nodes, scary. I don't like them. But, very important that we can at least manipulate them to help out. My understanding is like anything that happens over here will be output over here. What you want to do is, like this has the shader we need, so we copy this. Paste it. Now, nothing's happening because it's not this little thing isn't plugged into anything. So we want to add. You're going to shader, mix shader, drop it in, click here to here, here to here. Now he's turned black because there's no texture output. Put it here to here. Now, these 2 shaders are the same texture. His VindictaBot skin, since I copied this one. What you want to do, you go back to here, select the rig again, get the skin, and then you find the one you want. I want to make him a US soldier looking on in horror. So, go back in here. Now, you'll notice he's a bit merged between 2 skins. So it's a bit more finicky than I'm used to. But this, if you scroll down in this selector, you can find skin mask shaders, and then this will be all the skins you have imported into the blend file. You want to make sure you have one down here, that's the one you want to change it to, and one up here, that's the original one. And you notice right now they're a bit merged. That's because of this factor slider. So you can change it all the way down here to make him a soldier, change him all the way up here to make him a robot. Just, if you make him a soldier, don't forget to add the eyes back. You'll have to do those manually between renders, unfortunately. But if it was 2 characters with the normal eyes, then you'd be able to keyframe their color, I believe. At least that's how it was in the old versions. So I'm going to keep him a robot, and you're going to see that we can change this. So if we go back to our normal view, and you'll see the factor node has appeared. So want to hit this to keyframe it. Fortunately, there's not a guaranteed way of making this show up on the timeline. You'll just have to remember. But if I move it to 12, keyframe it here, slide it all the way down, go back here, In half a second, he transformed into a soldier. That's how I do Voltox's teleport. I just have him do it really fast and change him to an all-white skin. Now, I'm going to undo all that progress. And he's keyframed. So, to change him in an instant, just move one frame over. At the end of this shot, he's a robot. At the end of this hypothetical next shot, keyframe, all the way down, soldier. Between cuts, moving between 0 and 1, he can become an entirely different person that you need for a single shot. It sucks that you have to do the eyes manually, and eyes and mouth manually. You'll just have to remember to do that, and yeah, it'll be easy to remember if you see Slender Man appear in your renders. I'm going to keep this spare skin in case I do want to go that route, but that's just a little trick for making extra civilians, or make it seem like there's more people in your project than there are. The final thing we need to consider is starting positions. So, I will, oops, don't want that, don't want it at 1. I will move this camera up through the dirt. I like to start off with, oh, you see, that is another problem, coming in, coming out way too soon. So, you go into your camera, it's already selected for me, and then you want to hit this, so this is where the clip starts, clip end. I usually change it to 500 meters. Gives me more than enough space to work with. I like to do usually an establishing shot to show the viewers where we are. I'll zoom all the way out so you can be clear this is a construction site. Just make sure you don't overshoot into this void out here, because that'll just be the extended background photo that you used. Okay, this is a more complete front, so I'm going to look at a post I want to fly to and hit the space bar so that way my camera jumps to it. Next step to moving the characters to the starting positions is you fly all the way over to where you want them to go, hit the cursor, tap it right here, or wherever you want the characters to go, and then you go back down to your characters. Now, I like to hop in here for a second, this viewport, go to the cursor, that way I can move the characters as needed in that little view. So since Linda's all ready to go, Control Tab, tap her base, because in older rigs, if you hit the whole thing, they would just cause texturing problems, so just make sure if you're moving them like this, you'll only have their base selected, or their root bone. Tells you what you're selecting up here. You hit Shift S, and then and then you get a bunch of options. You want to hit Shift S8, which moves the selection to the cursor, and then boom, she appeared up here. So I'll just move her off that spot since I don't feel like moving the cursor every time. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with all these characters in a bit, but I want to end the video with this little lesson here. So I'm gonna move this back, and basically we're gonna get a closer look at Linda, and the final important step you want to see is, are her feet going through the floor? Slightly. They're going through it slightly. You see, you can Control Tab out of her and get a better look. You want her feet to be, like, this is the outer layer of her skin. You want the inner layer to be going through a little bit, so that way it covers up the texture. Because that way, you do not want to animate a music video where all of your characters are floating an inch off the ground. That's going to look weird. That's going to make shadows look weird. It's bad, trust me. So far, I've never made that mistake. And if I have, it's never been caught, so just keep an eye on your characters. Make sure as you're setting them up, whatever block they're standing on, they're going a little bit through the floor. And this applies to like any animation, just like a few millimeters through the floor. Also, a little note about applying the lip sync. Select the bone that your pose library applies to. I moved this bone because it controls her mouth. Oh, I gotta disable teeth. That's another thing I gotta do. But that's all stylistic. You can do what you want. And move it to the keyframe where she speaks. She's not speaking here, but like just for simplicity's sake, you hit A neutral or whatever you need, and boom, that'll go. And you have animated successfully for the first time. Now, I hope this helps you on your animating journey. I'm glad that this tutorial was requested of me, and I look forward to seeing what you guys make with this information. Sorry if this was a lot of knowledge I just threw at you, but if I can help people avoid making some of the mistakes I did when I first started out, then it's more than worth it. Keep in mind, I'm still learning Blender 5.0. I'm still learning the new Black Plasma Studios rig. I'm not a teacher, and not everything I say is gospel. But I just wanted to provide some help in case anyone needed it. So you are free to start animating. That's my setup process. If you guys want a full animation tutorial, let me know. I'd be more than happy to pick up in the middle of this video. But yeah, in the meantime, that's our show, folks. Have a good night.